Good evening, everyone. Happy March 15th, 6:30 p.m. Thank you for bearing with us for us being a little bit late this evening than normal.
Hello.
Hi, friend. How are you?
I'm good.
I guess we should introduce ourselves. We may have new people joining us
We could.
this week. I'm Kat Ludwig. I'm a registered dietitian. Prior to being a registered dietitian, I was a chef for roughly 10 years, which is how we met.
Yes, and I am a speech pathologist. I have worked with dysphagia for a whole lot of years.
And when I say we met when I was a chef, it's because her and her husband owned a restaurant, and my husband and I worked for them.
Yes,
which was really fabulous. So it was a great time. And we realized that we really love food together.
Yes, we do.
And then we realized that we really love helping people to regain their love of food.
Absolutely. We want people to love food again.
Yes. So, welcome. I love St. Patrick's Day. I have Irish on both sides of my family. So, I'm an Irish girl at heart. The Malone's on one side, the Kelly's on the other.
Wow.
Someone had said at one point they think I'm 3/4 Scotch-Irish. It's probably not quite that much.
Wow.
But I did a lot of ancestry digging when I was in Texas.
You need to get one of those kits.
I know. My grandma had all kinds of stuff that I went through when I was in Texas, learning about the heritage, and you could see back to like where people came over from, and it was pretty cool. So I'm really fond of this whole idea of ancestry and where we come from. Anyway, off topic. So we're gonna make, we already made corned beef and cabbage because
it takes a while.
It does take a while. So I threw this in the crock pot with a little bit of stock at 9 o'clock this morning and just slow cooked it. Okay, it was really the Instant Pot, not the crock pot, but you know, it's got the same setting. So we got the corned beef from a local butcher shop / meat market called Evie's Old Fashioned Meats. They have great products. They're in South Bend, Indiana. They've been around for almost 40 years.
Wow.
Their specialty is Polish sausage because there's a large Polish community here.
Yes.
So they sponsored our meal tonight. So we want to give them a shout out. Thank you.
Thank you to Evie's.
You guys are great. We love you. Keep doing what you're doing. So we have some corned beef. I have some carrots and potatoes that we cooked in the same liquid of our corned beef. And then I have the cabbage going in the Instant Pot because we just want it to get super soft. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to cook cabbage on the stove, I would say do some onion, maybe a little bit of garlic, maybe not, depending on what you like. Oil. Saute your onion and garlic and add your cabbage. And then you want to add a little bit of liquid. The liquid you add depends on what you like. You can use the same stock that you cooked your corned beef in. How do you do yours?
I cook it all together.
You cook it all together.
Well, obviously I cook the meat longer, so the cabbage would be the last thing to go in.
The recipe that I found, or the only one I looked at today, was like, put everything in and then cook it for 9 hours. And I was like, oh no.
You wouldn't have any cabbage left.
Or carrots. Or
carrots.
Potatoes. Like you'd end up with.
Fall apart.
And the whole point of what we're doing is we want to do everything separate so it can maintain its flavor. And its color and its beauty. So do it separate. And when I say separate, yes, I did put the potatoes and the carrots in the pot and pressure cooked them.
But that's how everybody else gets it too. But at least they can choose the pieces that they want to eat.
Right. And the great thing about this is you can do this for your family. If they don't need pureed or minced and moist, then they can just have however it is. And then you can take your blender and do your own. So we're going to do a pureed and we're going to do a minced and moist.
Okay.
If you prefer to do more sandwich, hi, chef. Please say hello. I got to do a little shout out. Chef Roshan is a chef in Atlanta. We met working for Wolfgang Putt Catering when I was working in Seattle. So he would come to help out. So it's great to see you, chef. So if you want to do more sandwich style, you can take your breadcrumbs. If you do rye breadcrumbs.
Oh, I forgot to go grab that.
That's okay. But we also have some Thousand Island dressing, because if you want to do more Reuben style, because not everybody likes corned beef and cabbage, but you can do the Reuben style with the Thousand Island dressing. That'll give you your moisture and extra flavor, and it'll be delicious either way. Yep. So if someone does want us to try that, let us know.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to cut a little bit of this. So as you can see, I left the fat cap on it. What we're gonna do for pureeing is we're gonna make sure that none of this goes in the puree, because we don't want to get any of that gristle in there. If we do need a little more fat, we'll try to make sure we have the soft stuff and none with any of that extra texture, because that'll be too difficult. So, all right.
Do you want a board?
Actually, yeah, I grabbed my little one, but that might be too small.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do a big one.
Let's do a big one. Okay. So I put it on a plate to make sure I wasn't going to have too much juice, because I don't want the juice leaking everywhere. Okay, so, and corned beef, if it's done right, is just going to kind of fall apart. See that? So I'm going to cut off the first piece, and I'm going to set this aside. Maybe we can do minced and moist with this first piece.
Okay.
And then the second piece, I want to get the so you can see the grain here is facing this direction. So I'm going to cut it so we get really small pieces. So this is against the grain. If we go with the, see how that's totally falling apart? Ooh, it's hot still.
Oh, I can see the steam.
Ooh. So if you want it long way, you cut it this way. We don't want that, because that makes it more difficult to chew.
She did, Alyssa.
Yes, Alyssa.
She cut it all off.
I cut my hair off. Thank you for noticing.
Who would have thought that I'd be the one with long hair now?
I know, right? Surprise! I am working on donating my 12-inch locks to a company called Wigs for Kids, because they don't sell them like Locks of Love does. So very important that I make sure my hair goes to the right cause. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you love it. I like it too. Okay, so do you want to puree our potatoes?
Yes, okay. I would love to.
And so we can do this a couple of ways. We can add some butter. We can add some olive oil. We can add some jus from our juice.
Yes.
What do you think?
I would like to do both.
Let's do it.
I think a little bit of butter for sure. That'll give it that
beautiful silky texture.
And then I think the flavor of the jus, I think the flavor is probably already in there, but I think if we need more, we'll just put a little more.
I think that's a great idea. All right, so there's some spoons. Do you want a bigger one?
No, this is fine.
No? Okay. I'm just going to vent this and see how our cabbage is doing. Because I want some of this liquid that's in our cabbage. So I want to add too with the potatoes, you want to make sure you're not over blending them, because they'll get a little bit gluey or extra sticky if you blend them too far. So she's going to add the butter. The heat from the potatoes is going to melt that butter, and hopefully we can get them to a really nice smooth texture without having to blend them too much. So I think that's a question people get a lot of the time. If we get them too gluey, this is when you get your potato flakes out and add some water to those. Sad to say. But, so anyway, I would love for everyone who's come on to say hello and tell us where you're watching from, and then let us know if you have any questions.
Tonight is the night. Ask questions.
Yes. We want questions about texture, and we want questions about what you're feeling, and we want questions about your techniques when you need some liquid. All right.
Yeah, I don't want to put too much butter, because then it'll get...
Yep, I'm almost vented. Almost vented. I'm impatient. Almost there. All right. The dog is joining us because it smells so good in here.
The smell is amazing.
Okay, so I am going to pull off this little bit of fat here. If it's not fatty enough, we can always add a little bit of this in. I just don't want it to have any of the texture from that. Okay. Okay.
And it's got a little bit of marbling in there, so it's juicy.
A little bit. So there should be, and I'm going to taste it because good chefs always taste their stuff. Right, chef? He's checking up on me. Let
I
me
see
tell
that.
you.
He's making sure you're doing it right.
Okay. Good flavor. Okay. So we're going to throw a couple of pieces in here. Hey. Sorry, they're saying hello. Okay. And I'm gonna just, actually this fat is pretty soft, so I'm just gonna put a little bit in there because it'll be nice texture and nice flavor. And that may help with the pureeing it. So
that's one of the things that we've learned is that you need some fat to make it smooth.
So, and when I'm looking at texture, like this piece right here has a lot of texture to it. I don't want to put that piece in because it may not blend well. So I just want the really soft pieces, and that means I'm going to have to use my fingers to feel it to make sure that it's soft and it doesn't have any extra texture to it. Okay. How do we do on our carrots? So here's the thing about corned beef and cabbage also. Corned beef is cured for 7 to 10 days. So it's got a lot of salt in it. This is not a meal that you're gonna eat all the time because it's so full of salt. So you're probably gonna need to drink extra water if you eat too much of this. If you have trouble getting water in, we need to know about that so we can help you manage that, because this is gonna make you thirsty because it is salty. Now, don't panic. Oh, that's my dad. Hi, Dad. 50 degrees outside, sun is shining, no breeze. I'm a little bit jealous. I think we've had a little bit of a breeze, but it was like 45 here today. And no snow. Or no new snow falling. Okay. So I'm going to grab a little bit of liquid to add for my corned beef. No? It keeps getting seen out. So we're having trouble with our taters, so maybe we just do minced and moist with our taters and we stick with...
Well, let's see how they look.
Okay.
I forgot to grab
Dishes. I know, I thought about it, and we had a lot going on today, so we didn't get our fancy dishes, but that's okay. Because this meal is really not a fancy meal, but we can still do something nice with it. Okay. More liquid.
Yeah, got gloopy.
Oh yeah, it's all right. So this is a good learning experience. So we need a lot more. Yeah, and there's still some chunks in there. All right. So
I think if I had put more liquid, it would have
made like potato soup.
Yeah.
The flavor's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Very few potato flakes left, so if we wanted to, we could
make a little extra. The flavor's good. The texture's not great, but I'm just saying that because
the part that's actually pureed, it's very gloopy though.
Yeah. Alyssa's asking, have you ever done a pizza blend or a mock version? We may have to do that. We haven't, but we could come up with that. I think it's doable. It's just going to be a little more labor. I mean, if you're making pizza at home, it's going to be labor intensive anyway. But that's something that we can go over.
I don't know. Comfort food for us is ordering in pizza on a Friday night.
Should we try
and watching movies. I think we could do that. I think we should.
We'll try it. Thank you for the inspiration,
I
Melissa.
think that's a great idea.
Yes. Okay.
I'm really hungry, I think.
Does it taste really good? I mean, the flavor's fantastic. It's just not a great texture. Okay. This has a lot of texture to it, and so it may take a while to blend. And I'm sure some of you know that when you blend meats, they're a little more difficult anyway. So we want to see where we're at here. So here's the thing with meats. You're almost never going to get them perfectly smooth, but we need to get them smooth enough. So this has a lot of texture. It's not anywhere near puree yet, but I haven't done a full blend either. So I'm gonna add a touch of cabbage also because I think the texture change in there may help. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. What do you suggest? This is why we try this, so you don't have to figure it out, and we can figure it out for you. And as we tell everyone, it's a lot of trial and error.
Just in terms of the potatoes, so the potatoes really got very sticky in the blend jet. User error, I'm sure. But just so that for those that haven't seen us do this before, I do buy potato flakes that helps us to thicken things. But this is going to be the smoothest potatoes that you'll be able to make without having it get. I'm using the term gloopy. What do you mean? What do I mean by that?
They just
Like
get
sticky.
really sticky.
Yeah.
So there's something, because potatoes are a starch, and if you think about starches, what did you use to make paper mache when you were a kid?
Yeah.
You used flour, right? Which is a starch. Well, potatoes do the same thing. So the more you mix starches, the stickier they get.
Yeah.
So the potatoes, like I said, while they taste really good,
And there may be
and you
some
can see,
potatoes
like,
that are better than others.
yeah, they're really gloopy.
I like that you used my word.
It's a good word. Gloopy is a good word. Okay, so I'm on blend number 3 for my corned beef. And I'm not gonna lie, I wish I had brought my Vitamix tonight. Yeah, Alyssa, that's really a good point. So yeast really works with any starch. So it smells really good. Okay, I'm gonna pull my little piece of cabbage out that's just hanging out on the edge of my thing. Okay, and then one of the things that we also want to do is we want to do a minced and moist. So I want to show you, we can even use our little, we can use this area here. All right. Carrots are going to be the easiest thing to puree.
Yep.
So with carrots, the more you puree them, the sweeter they get. So if you want to take a little bit of that sweetness out, you can add a dash of something like lemon juice or vinegar. Or you can add some salt. You may not need to add salt to this though, because we cooked them in the brine, or not in the brine, but in the juice from the, so this is how we would make like corned beef hash. So if you go to a restaurant that they have hash on the menu, this is basically what we're doing. We're getting super, super fine small pieces. And we just want to make sure that we have really, really tiny, right?
Yep.
Mashed by a fork. All right. I'm gonna leave this, because now it's going really smoothly. Actually, I'm gonna steal a dish. Okay, so, and if you're wanting to layer this, like we've layered in the past, I would do,
Oh, that looks good.
it looks good. I think it's gonna still have texture in there, because, you know, we can't blend it completely textureless, but I would stick up my tongue and show you what's on my tongue. There's just a little bit there, but it's pretty darn smooth, especially if we were to do something like add a little bit of it to our potatoes. I may just add, yes, they're gloopy, I know. It's okay. Because we want a little bit of that flavor. And then we're gonna add a little bit of our meat to it. And then I would add a layer of the carrots on top. And then a layer of the cabbage on top of that. Because then you'll have a nice little layered dinner.
Striated.
Striated. It's a biology term. Carrots are pretty darn beautiful.
These look really smooth.
I just love how orange they are, you know? Oh yeah, see? We're getting a nice layer there. Okay, so I need to put this in a little dish also, and we'll do some cabbage.
What are you putting in a dish? Oh, the meat?
My meat, yeah. All right. We might need a little more liquid for our cabbage. So our cabbage is really, really soft, right? So these are gonna blend up super well. Okay. I'm gonna grab a little cup here. Oh, you're faster than I am. She's faster than I am. I've known this for a while though. Okay. Tastes good. So, I was doing a little bit of research on corned beef before we started. Corned beef is not actually an Irish dish.
Really?
Which does not surprise me. The cabbage and the potatoes are 100% Irish. Cabbage and potatoes are also the least expensive, most nutritious vegetables you can buy. And it has been that way for many, many years. So we encourage potatoes and cabbage because they're inexpensive and you get a lot out of them. And they're relatively easy to cook. It's kind of hard to screw them up. Probably gonna need more liquid. Well, maybe not. Cabbage is also mostly made of water. So this is actually getting much smoother than I thought it was going to on the first. Means I cooked it well enough. That's why I love my pressure cooker for that reason. Okay. How are we looking? Smells like salty cabbage. Pretty smooth. That was one blend.
Oh, that looks good.
I wonder if you can see it. Okay. So, we'll do a little bit right on top. And then we have our layered corned beef and cabbage meal.
Did we put the potatoes in there?
I put a little bit on the bottom.
I gotcha. Oh yeah. Yes, that's.
Yeah. So
see the different
as
layers?
If you've seen us before, thank you. We like layering things because that makes it prettier. And yes, we could have done a better job with this, but we're also hungry.
Why are we so hungry? We're later than usual.
Yes, because normally we'd be eaten by now.
True. We're hungry.
Right. We're working towards hangry. I think we're still not quite there yet. Okay.
Yeah, we're not hungry. Honestly, the smoothness from everything else helps with the
beef. I didn't even notice it.
But a grittiness of the beef is gone because of the layered, super smooth things.
So, and this is important because anytime you're doing a meat puree, I think it's going to be really, really important that you have other textures with it to help it smooth out. Because meat has texture to it. Protein does not break down easily, right? So proteins are supposed to be structural. That's what they do in our bodies. So anytime you're pureeing a meat, if you can do one where the strands are shorter like this, right? So it's gonna puree easier because there's less to cut through. That's why I cut this one relatively thin. But if you're gonna add, like, I love this because the carrot adds a little bit of sweetness. The cabbage adds that just really savory, the salt from the broth. And then the potato, I mean, Potatoes are delicious.
But take a bite of just the meat by itself. And then do a bite of the layered.
It's a totally different experience.
It is, because I think that the layers of smooth blended just kind of encapsulates it.
So the lesson I'm taking away from this is anytime we puree meat, we need to have other things pureed with it to A, complement the flavors, and B, complement that texture and reduce the amount of bulk. That's not quite the right word.
Well, I think that, so for people who have trouble with
Because it's
texture,
it's pretty smooth. It's very salty also. So the rest of this smooths out that salt as well.
So the people that have the most trouble with texture are people that have the irritated sort of mucous membranes that it feels like sandpaper when something has texture going down.
Right.
So for those of you that are having that kind of sensation, like it's you feel it scratching all the way down, because technically it's really not scratchy,
right,
but it's got a little bit of texture. And so any inflammation or irritated mucous membranes is going to feel it. The smoother you get it, the more it just slides down. So it's almost like last week when we were talking about the chia seeds that had the barrier around it that was puffy and soft.
It was all liquid.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of the same concept, is that when it's layered, so it's not all mixed up like we're, right. If you want to mix it all together, you may get a super smooth feeling.
But I also think that's going to mess with the flavor.
I agree.
Because this flavor, the way they're all separate, is satisfying.
It tastes just like if I were going to eat it like this.
So I'm starting on some minced and moist.
Okay.
So I've got some cabbage here that I'm just running a knife through. Nothing fancy. If you have a food processor at home, you can put this in your food processor and just do the pulse until you get it to where it's at. This cabbage is also well cooked and holding a lot of moisture. Hi, Karen. Happy to see you. So,
Hi, Karen.
Okay, so, and this is good, right? We want moisture with our minced and moist.
Yes.
It's half
It's
half the name. So, and yes, I use the same knife, but that I did with the meat, but they're both cooked and they're going in the same dish. So, okay. So do you want me to do this a little thinner, a little smaller, or what do you think?
I think that's fine.
That's good? Okay. So let's put some there. Okay. My cabbage today. Okay. That's probably plenty, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I must have dropped something because the dog got it. So these, and I do have some onions in here as well. So like that is an onion. If that doesn't cut well, luckily I made them long, so they'll just come out. I'm actually surprised that they're as intact as they are, because they've been cooking the entire time with the beef. And these carrots are soft. So even if you wanted to just mash these with a fork, you could.
Yes.
All right. And these are gonna mash super well. All right. And then our taters, which we can throw on there, are also gonna mash.
You want just the potatoes on the side?
Yeah, sure. I mean, potatoes are kind of a meal in themselves sometimes.
Agreed.
As a dietitian, I don't necessarily agree that potatoes are a vegetable. They should not be used as a vegetable. However, as an Irish girl, I really love my potatoes.
Let's
And
put this stuff out of the way so
if
it
you
can get
needed
mashed.
to, you could survive on potatoes. I mean, I think my father, if he's still on, he can clarify this. Didn't you eat potatoes only for a while, Dad? Let me know. I'm curious. I think he did. Okay. Do your teach me.
Well, so truly, a minced and moist vegetable should be able to go through the tines of a fork.
Okay.
So carrots
Perfect.
are just perfect. They can go through the tines of a fork.
Beautiful. Okay.
And then it's about that size that you cut the meat into. And then the potatoes, perfect. They go through the tines of a fork.
Oh yeah.
I might have to eat that.
She also loves potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question the other day about blending French fries, so that's something we're gonna try in the future as well.
Okay.
I know, threaten you with a good time. We like our potatoes, we really do. Okay, so can the rest of this kind of go through a fork? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So with minced and moist, if the pieces of meat that you've cut can fit through the tines of the fork, it's the right size.
Okay. And so this may need a little more moisture too.
It may, but again, your Thousand Island,
Which I have in the fridge.
it is going to have some texture in it though, because Thousand Island has, I think, pickles in it. So if you had to,
It's okay, Dad. Thanks. I appreciate you and I love you. Thank you.
you may want to choose a dressing that doesn't have pickles in it. That's similar, like French or I don't. Is it in here? Yes, it is.
Yeah, I threw it up there.
This one doesn't look like it has big chunks. I think some have more than others.
So let's throw a little bit.
I'll just put a little bit on the side.
Okay. We can dip it that way. And that's the other thing. If you're worried it has big chunks, take your fork, dip the tines in it, and then take your little bite. Because that's plenty of flavor for me, honestly.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Flavor and a little bit of moisture. If you need more moisture, take more.
Yeah.
But that makes it makes it
So-
taste good.
You can still enjoy your holiday meals. I know the Irish used to eat 10 pounds of potatoes a day per person, but that's hard to believe. I agree, that is hard to believe.
10 pounds.
I don't know that I could eat 10 pounds of anything in a day. I mean, in my early 20s I could.
That's a lot of potatoes.
That's a lot of potatoes. Because they sell them in sacks of like 5 to 10 pounds.
I think
So-
I buy it in 3-pound sacks. The whole
Yeah,
family
I don't
eats that.
I don't eat them that much anymore. We sort of make potato vodka and then have to throw them away. That's a joke. That's a bad joke. That means they're rotting in my
She doesn't make vodka.
I don't make vodka. Okay. I like this experiment.
I do too.
And I'm very curious for us to try another meat and see if we have the same end result.
Experience with it being easier and smoother when it's encased.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions for us?
Yeah.
The flavor's really good. I mean,
I agree.
These flavors complement each other so well already. That's why restaurants overcharge you for them on St. Patrick's Day.
So truly, I am getting all the same flavors out of this pureed layered.
Layered, not pureed together. Layered.
Pureed layered. As I am out of this. It is a very satisfying.
And here's the thing. If you're pureeing your meat and you want a little bit of the Thousand Island, you can always puree the meat with Thousand Island in it to get that flavor already.
That's
right.
true. That may even
And-
help with the smoothness.
The first ingredient in this is oil, as most dressings are. Unless you get low fat. Don't buy low fat or fat free. It's a joke. It doesn't taste good. Don't do it. And it's not good for you because they stuff it full of all kinds of junk
Other
that
stuff,
you don't
yes.
need in your body. Buy full fat and just use it in moderation. It's my professional opinion.
Agreed.
Okay.
I'm not a professional, but taste better.
You're a
whole
different
fat.
kind of professional. She's a professional. So you can always blend your meat with the sauce, because when we went to the restaurant and we took our blend jet and we blended that burger, we added ketchup, we added the butter, it was liquid butter, we added water, and there was half the bun. So it was a quarter of a burger too, because obviously this is not going to fit an entire burger. And so we had plenty of moisture in it. And there were the other ingredients to help smooth it out.
Yeah. That's why it was smooth, I bet.
Yeah.
Because it was super smooth.
Because we've pureed hamburger in the past and it has not gone
when it's by itself.
well. Right. So we're learning and we're teaching our clients to use other complementary flavors when you're blending something. Don't blend your entire meal together. We want to do it in layers like we did tonight. But for your meat, you're going to need a little bit of extra to help it smooth out and come together. And a lot of the time, that's fat. Fat is your friend. Not too much. Don't go crazy. But fat is your friend. So.
But it worked. This worked. This worked very well.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there's extra liquid left over, you can always put a little more of the liquid on.
Yep.
Like I said, you just have to be careful because this is a very salty dish.
Drink a lot of water tomorrow. Mine's empty. Oh no, I refilled it.
Cheers. To St. Patrick's Day.
Yes. Happy St. Patrick's Day
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
to you and your Irish heritage. I don't think I have any Irish in mine.
Yeah. So, I think that's all we have for you today. We didn't do a dessert, but I think the big thing that people talk about is the shamrock shake.
Yeah.
Like the mint flavored ice cream, or I know growing up, my mom used to make grasshopper pie with creme de menthe and marshmallow fluff.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that was I don't know if that was an 80s thing or what, but it's smooth as long as you don't get the crust in there. But I assume you can puree it with the crust with a little bit of milk or whatever, and it would be really smooth. So
Yeah. Any cream pie you can eat out of the crust if you need smooth.
we're a big fan of cream pie. So anyway, if you have any other questions, please comment below. And if you're watching the replay, please comment replay below and ask your questions, and we will answer them.
Absolutely.
If you have a more detailed question, send us an email to dysphagiaduo@gmail.com. And we'll be back next Wednesday,
Back at the normal time.
5:30 p.m.
5:30.
Eastern Standard Time. If you need to know what time that is in another time zone, happy to help there too. So just let us know.
Yep. You guys have a great week.
Have a great week, everyone. And be safe on St. Patrick's Day.